Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is Suspects and Spirits, and I'm your host, Taylor Seraphin, and this is Booze Clues. Welcome to another episode of Booze Clues. You write them, I read them, it gets real spooky, it gets real weird, and we love it. For those of you watching on TikTok, do you like my new sign? I got a new sign. If you are not on TikTok and you don't plan on watching the TikTok, the sign says, "Here for the booze," and it has a little ghost on it. I got it at Walmart. Walmart coming in with the good stuff. And then I also found this sign. Check this out. It's so cute. It says, "Let's go, ghouls." I had to buy it. It was so cute. It has a little ghosty on it. I love a good spooky find. And then in one of the prior episodes, I told you guys I would show you the phone that I got, the spooky phone, the one that I'm obsessed with and my daughter is obsessed with. So give me one second. It's right behind me. For those of you who do not have TikTok and don't plan on watching, it is like, one of the see-through phones, like a translucent phone, so you can see all the little wires and the batteries. And I'm going to put my mic down so that I can show you guys what it says. It's so cute. I'm obsessed. And then on the inside, when you press for it to hang up, it it calls one of the contacts on here, and one of them is Fang. We have Bones on here, Banshee, Wolfie, Frankie, Mummy, and Jacko. So let's give one of them a call. Let's see.
Greetings. Me and all my vampire friends are calling to wish you a fantastic Halloween.
And then it has this button where if you press it, it rings, which is so cute, and it lights up. All right, let me get this put away, and we will get into the stories for today. All right, guys, full disclosure, I did not read these ahead of time. No, that's a lie. I read one of them, and that's because it was an old coworker who sent it in, and I was really curious. But aside from that, I haven't read them, so we can all be surprised together. All right, here we go. Let's get into it. All right, guys, this first one, the subject line is spooky sleepover ghost story, which, how could we go wrong, right? It starts off, "Hi, Taylor. Okay, buckle up because I've been debating for years whether or not to share this story with anyone outside my circle of friends. It's one of those things where if you tell people in person, they give you the look. Like, oh, sure, a ghost whispered your name in the dark. But when I heard you read listener stories, I figured this might finally be a safe place to spill what happened to me one night back in high school. Yes, safe place for you. And can I read your name? Can I say your name? Well, let me find out. Let me scroll, scroll, scroll. Yes, I can. Sarah from Phoenix, this is a safe space. You can always tell me your stories." It begins. So let me set the stage. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona in the early 2000s. And like most teenagers, I spent a ridiculous amount of time at sleepovers. They were less about sleep and actually more about staying up until 3 a.m., inhaling junk food, painting our nails, and pretending we weren't terrified of whatever creepy VHS we rented from Blockbuster. Oh, I can literally smell the Blockbuster right now. Sierra Vista didn't have, well, no, we had a Blockbuster, not for long. We went to a place called Hastings a lot. It was like a Blockbuster, but better, in my opinion. It had a whole music section. It had like posters and CDs. And then it also had a whole book section. So you could go, you could read, you could buy books, and they had little, like a coffee station set up over there, which the whole vibe of Hastings was just, it was amazing. I can smell that place too. They also had popcorn sometimes. And then every time a new Harry Potter book came out, they always had like a midnight release of the books and people would dress up. It was so much fun. You could go and like they would serve butterbeer and hand out the jelly beans. It was a phenomenal place. I miss it there. Anyways, back to Sarah's story. One weekend, a friend from my group, I'll call her Melissa, invited me and a couple of other girls to stay over at her house. I remember it was late fall because the desert nights had that very sharp chill where the air feels colder than it should compared to how the sun roasted you earlier that day. You know that smell in the air when you first open a screen door in Phoenix at night? Dusty, a little metallic, and somehow colder than the air inside? That's exactly how it felt walking into her house. You just described that so well. I grew up going to Phoenix a lot because my grandma lived up there, and then I had some aunts and uncles who lived up there as well. So we would go up for holidays and things, and very dusty and metallic is how I would describe it as well. She goes on to say, Melissa's house was older. Not creepy looking exactly. It wasn't some Addams family mansion with gargoyles on the roof or anything, but it had that lived in, slightly outdated vibe. Wood paneling, carpets that had definitely seen some better days, and way too many porcelain figurines perched on shelves in the living room. I remember thinking, if any of these dolls' heads turn to me tonight, I'm walking home. I don't care if it's midnight. Yeah, Sarah, you're so real for that. I'm not a doll fan either. There were four of us there that night: me, Melissa, another girl named Jamie, and one more I'll call Brittany. We did the normal sleepover stuff, ordered pizza, prank called a couple of boys, and argued over which scary movie to watch. I pushed for The Ring because I like the slow burn kind of horror, but I got outvoted, and we ended up watching 13 Ghosts. Probably not the best choice for me personally because glass walls and screaming ghosts do not exactly lull you into sleep mode. See, Sarah, that is where we differ. I can go right to sleep after watching a horror movie like that. I saw a funny TikTok the other day that was like, people who watch horror movies and then go right to bed, are you okay? And some girl stitched it and she was like, yeah, we're good. And she had like horror things all over her room. It was like red light and she had, I think it was Saw on in the background or something really funny. But yeah, we're fine. But you know what, Sarah? It's okay. Not all of us are made that way. It's fine. By the time we finally dragged ourselves to Melissa's room, it was probably close to 2 a.m. She had this queen size bed that she insisted she'd share with one person, so Melissa and Jamie claimed that. Brittany and I laid out sleeping bags on the carpet. Her room wasn't huge, so I ended up tucked into the corner right next to her closet door. Yes, the closet. The absolute last place you want to be next to when your imagination is running wild with horror movie leftovers. Now, here's where things start to get weird. I just started drifting into that half asleep state where your thoughts get all fuzzy. I remember hearing the whooshing of the ceiling fan and the occasional car passing outside. Then, clear as day, I heard someone whisper my name. Not like a loud, dramatic whisper either. It was this soft, breathy, right next to your ear kind of whisper. And then in quotes, she wrote, Sarah. Ooh. I love that. Well, I don't love that for you, but I love it for the story. My eyes flew open and I immediately looked at Brittany, who was already out cold. She was snoring very softly. I sat up halfway and glanced at the bed. Melissa and Jamie were both knocked out too. The whisper hadn't sounded like any of them anyway. It was too deliberate, too intentional, like someone trying to get my attention specifically. I told myself I was imagining things. Maybe I dreamed it. Maybe it was the fan. Maybe my brain was still replaying the creepy movie that we watched. So I rolled over, faced the wall, and I tried to ignore it. But then I heard it again, louder this time. Sarah. I whipped my head around, heart pounding, and stared into the dark corner of the room by the closet. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But it felt like something was standing there watching me. I don't know if you've ever had that feeling, like the hair on your body stands up because your instincts are screaming at you that you're not alone. I wanted to wake the others. And at the same time, I didn't want to sound like the crazy girl who couldn't handle a sleepover. So I lay back down and pulled the sleeping bag over my head like a 5-year-old. I tried to focus on my breathing, thinking if I just ignored it, it would go away. That's when I heard the scratching. Oh, scratching? No, I don't like that at all. See, you're already feeling like you're being watched by something. You're in a closet. You just watched a scary movie. Maybe your imagination is getting the best of you, but maybe not. Something is whispering your name. All your friends are asleep, and now you're hearing scratching. I would not blame you even for 1 second if you woke me up out of a very deep sleep during that sleepover and you were like, I am very scared. I would wake up my friends at that point. But again, I haven't read these, so let me keep reading. Maybe she does wake them up. It was faint at first, like nails lightly dragging against wood. I froze. The sound was coming from the closet door, the one that was literally 6 inches from my head. Scratch, 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 scratch. Ew, I don't like that. I don't like the scratching. My heart was racing so hard, it actually hurt. I remember squeezing my eyes shut and repeating to myself, it's just the house. Old houses make noises. But deep down, I knew this wasn't normal creaking. This was purposeful. The whisper came again. This time, it didn't even sound human. It was warped, like two voices overlapping each other, one low, one high, both saying my name in this drawn out way. Listen, Sarah, that is when you book it the fuck out of there. What? I would not stay at that sleepover. I would be calling my parents crying probably. Well, actually, my nosy ass would probably wanna go see what that was, and then I would call my parents crying, being like, "Pick me up." I would probably pee my pants. Did you pee your pants? Because I would. Zip carpet to the bed, shaking Melissa awake. Oh god, finally. Okay. She groaned and told me to go back to sleep, but when I told her I'd heard scratching from her closet, she sat up fast. She didn't even look surprised. She said, "You heard it too?" Wait, is Melissa's house haunted? Oh, shit. Okay, let's keep reading. And that's when my stomach dropped because apparently everyone in her family had experienced weird stuff in that house, but no one had told me before. She admitted that she and her brother sometimes heard footsteps in the hallway at night when their parents were asleep. Her mom even had seen a shadow figure in the kitchen once standing by the fridge. No, that's first of all, that's rude, okay? Shadow figure, you're standing by the fridge. You don't pay the mortgage. You don't pay rent here. Get out of my fridge. Those are my snacks. Second of all, moving. I'm moving. Goodbye. I am nosy as hell and I will go investigate any place with any kind of paranormal activity. I want to see it. I want to catch it. But if it's in my home, absolutely not. Hell to the no. Melissa shrugged like it was no big deal. She just shrugged it off like this was just normal life for her. Meanwhile, I was practically in tears. Yeah, as you should be, clutching her arm and begging her to let me sleep in the bed. She reluctantly shifted over. Oh, what a bitch. And I squeezed in like a terrified little kid. Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah. I'd be like, yeah, of course, come sleep in bed with me. That's fine. She reluctantly scooted over. Melissa, come on. Be a little nicer to your friends. What is going on? The rest of the night, I kept my eyes open, staring at the closet door. I swear I saw it shift once, like it moved an inch on its own. No one else woke up to see it, and I was too paralyzed to make a sound. So Melissa just went back to bed. She was just like, "Yeah, okay, I guess," like rolling her eyes like reluctantly. "I guess you can come sleep in bed with me." And then she just clonked out like, "Okay, good night." Oh, I guess if you grow up in a haunted house that just does become the norm. But if you have people over, I feel like you should warn your friends if your house is haunted, right? Like that's common courtesy. By morning time, sunlight poured into the room and everything looked normal again. The closet was just a closet, the fan was just a fan, and my friends acted like nothing had happened. When I brought it up again, Melissa brushed it off and said, "Oh, yeah, our house is probably haunted. You get used to it." So nonchalant. She's like, "Yeah, these ghosts, what are you going to do?" Get used to it, Sarah wrote. Absolutely not. I never stayed the night there again. Even now, years later, I can still hear that whisper sometimes when I think about it too hard. The way it said my name, like it knew me, like it wanted me to answer, will never, ever leave my brain. So, yeah, that's my haunted sleepover story. If your friend ever tells you that their house is a little weird, don't be the one who volunteers to sleep in the closet. Signed, Sarah from Phoenix. I have so many questions. Like, first of all, where is this house? I need to go to Phoenix. Are you still friends with Melissa? Melissa, can I come to your house and investigate? Or do you still live there? Do your parents still live there? What kind of feeling was it? Was it like a light feeling? Was it a dark feeling? Was it demonic? Was it friendly? I have so many questions. And Sarah, good for you for not going back to that house and sleeping there because as interesting as it is to maybe everyone else who's like, "Oh my gosh, I want to go to this haunted place." If you're not comfortable with it, stay far, far away from that shit. That's not cool. And again, I say if your house is haunted or has some kind of weird stuff going on, let people know before they sleep there. Oh, thank you, Sarah, for writing that in. I really want to know what house that is in Phoenix and if there's some kind of story behind it, some kind of haunting, some kind of like death that happened there or where it was built. I'm fascinated. I need to know more. Okay. Our next story is called The Vanishing Hitchhiker. And this one is from, can I read your name? Yes, Linnea from Savannah, Georgia. Oh, I already know it's going to be good. Savannah is very, very haunted. It's a very spooky place. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, Taylor, here we go. I have a story for you that I've literally never been able to explain. I grew up just outside of Savannah, Georgia, and if you have ever been here, you know it is a city that wears its history on its sleeve. The Spanish moss dripping from the trees, the old cemeteries, the cobblestone streets, it feels haunted even in broad daylight. My family always used to joke that ghosts were just part of the estate down here. Like if you bought a house here, you weren't just getting the land and the walls, you were also inheriting whatever poor soul decided not to move on. That is such a great description of Savannah. I couldn't agree more. Now, as much as I like a good ghost story, I never thought I'd be in one until one night my dad and I saw The Hitchhiker. Oh, I'm so ready for this. Are you ready for this? Ready, baby. Here we go. I was probably 11 or 12 at the time, old enough to know better than to believe every scary story my friends told at sleepovers, but still young enough that I didn't have that shield of adult logic yet. And my dad, bless him, he was one of those people who would drive anywhere, anytime. He loved being behind the wheel. Sometimes it was errands, sometimes it was just let's go for a drive and listen to music. Those are some of my best memories with him, just riding around in his old sedan with the windows down, the air thick and humid, and him telling me about life like I was grown. It is really fun to just drive around sometimes. I love driving around too. I love a good road trip. All right, back to the story. She goes on to say, we were cruising down this stretch of 2-lane road, forest crowding in on both sides. And that's when I saw him. A man standing on the shoulder of the road. He was just there, like he'd been waiting. Tall, thin, wearing what looked like jeans and some kind of dark jacket. He had one arm out, thumb pointing up, and a universal hitchhiker sign. And I swear to you, every instinct in me went on red alert. I didn't know why. He didn't look scary exactly, but it felt wrong. That's because it is. Okay. I really hope this story does not go on to say that her dad tried to pick up the hitchhiker. Please don't tell me that. Please don't tell me that your dad tried to pick up a hitchhiker when you were in the car with him. Oh my God, this is giving me palpitations. Oh, okay. Hitchhiking is so scary. Did we learn nothing from the 70s, you guys? Did we learn nothing? Wait, hold on. When did this story happen? Maybe you'll say it in the story. I should just shut up and keep reading. All right. My dad noticed him too. He slowed down a little, squinting through the windshield. Maybe we should give him a ride, he said, almost to himself. What? No, he did not say that. Not with his daughter in the car. No. And I panicked, like full body, heart pounding, adrenaline rush panic. I didn't even think about it. I just shouted, no, don't stop. Don't pick him up. My dad glanced at me, surprised. What? Why not? He asked you why not? Were you like, because he could be a killer, dad, because he could fucking kill us? You probably didn't say that because you were like 12, but what? What kind of fuckery is that? You're gonna stop and try and pick up a hitchhiker with your young daughter in the car with you? No, sir. Oh my God, this story. I need to know what year this happened. I couldn't even explain. I just shook my head and repeated, please, Dad, don't. He chuckled, trying to calm me down. He said, you watch too many scary movies. But he must have heard something in my voice because he didn't stop. He kept driving. I can't believe he laughed at you. Like, haha, you watch too many scary movies. No, that's not just in scary movies. There are crazy ass people in this world. Oh my gosh. Now, here's where it gets burned into my memory. Oh God, what's going to happen? As we passed the hitchhiker, I looked at him, really looked, and the man didn't move. He didn't react to the car passing. He didn't step back. He didn't wave. He just stood there, arm out, eyes forward, completely still. Like he wasn't actually a person standing on the side of the road. Almost like he was a mannequin that someone had propped up there. It's never a mannequin. I turned my head to keep watching as we went by, and I swear on everything, Within seconds, he was gone. Not walking away gone, not stepping into the trees gone, just gone. No movement, no sound, just shoulder road and darkness. There wasn't even anywhere for him to go. I froze. My dad must have noticed how quiet I got because he said softly, "Did you see that?" I nodded. My mouth was so dry, I could barely answer. He didn't say anything else for the rest of the drive, which honestly scared me more because my dad was not the type to admit he was shaken, and he always had something to say. That man never shut up. When we finally got home, I remember bolting into my room and laying awake for hours, replaying it in my head. The way my body screamed danger before my brain even knew why, the way the man stood like he wasn't even real, and then the way he just disappeared. Years later, when I was in high school, I brought it up to my dad. We were driving again, and I said, "Hey, do you remember that night with the hitchhiker?" He went quiet for a long time before answering. Finally, he said, "Yeah, I don't know what we saw, but I'm glad we didn't stop." And that was it. End of conversation, which, if you know my dad, you'd know is basically his way of admitting it freaked him out too. And look, I've tried to rationalize it. I really have. Maybe it was a trick of the light. Maybe he ducked into the trees so fast I didn't notice. Maybe my memory's just filling all the gaps after all the years. But deep down, I don't believe that. I believe we saw something we weren't supposed to. Savannah has its fair share of ghost stories. The lady in white who haunts Bonaventure? Sure, let's go with that. The lady in white who haunts Bonaventure Cemetery. Don't come for me. I haven't read these ahead of time, okay? I don't know if that's how you say it. And the old pirates that supposedly roam River Street. But this one feels personal. Like the road itself was showing me something, warning me. Sometimes, when I drive down dark country roads, I catch myself scanning the shoulder, half expecting to see him again. Tall, thin, thumb out, just waiting. And if I ever do, I promise you, I am not stopping. Be on the lookout for ghostly hitchhikers. Linnea from Savannah, Georgia. Oh, Linnea, where do I begin? First of all, I love your name. I've only ever known one other person named Linnea in my whole life. So I love your name. It's beautiful. And so many concerns here, so many questions. Your dad was going to stop and get a hitchhiker while you were in the car with him at like 11 or 12 years old. And then the hitchhiker just disappeared like he was a ghost. There have been a lot of hitchhiker ghost stories throughout the years that I've heard personally. And then I've actually experienced one with my family, with my dad and my sister. And it's very weird when you yourself experience it. I have experienced something very similar, Linnea. So I'm here to validate your story. You are not crazy. Stuff like this happens all the time. And I remember being pretty young, probably like 9, like 8 or 9, and we were driving to St. John's for, like a pony club camp. My sister did pony club, she was really into horses. I don't know if my sister's listening, maybe you remember this, but we were driving, and one weird thing that happened was that the radio station just changed. It's almost like we went through a time warp. It was very strange. The radio had been normal modern music, like country music, and then it just switched. It switched to this old ass song that I've never heard even to this day. I've never heard this song before. And it went, what did it say? It was like, smoke, smoke, smoke that cigarette, smoke yourself to death, something like that. It was bizarre, so bizarre. And then that same day, I swear we saw someone on the side of the road trying to like hitchhike, trying to, catch a ride. And my dad, I don't think my dad was going to stop with two girls in the car, but we saw the man, he was there. And then suddenly he was just gone. And I know it was a person. I know it wasn't a cactus. It wasn't anything like that. It was a whole ass person. If my dad or my sister are listening, do you guys remember that? Because I remember it vividly. Maybe I dreamt it. Maybe I fell asleep in the car and I dreamt it all. I don't know. But I definitely remember seeing somebody on the side of the road and then them just not being there anymore. And it was the weirdest thing. But the radio station changing was by far one of the weirdest things I've ever experienced. And then after it did that song, it, like, sang the chorus maybe once or twice, it just switched back like normal. So weird, and to this day, I have never heard that song ever in my life. I should look it up, though. I should see if that's a real song. Linnea, I loved your story. Thank you so much for writing that in. All right, let's get into the next one. So, this next one I have read before. This is somebody that I worked with my very first year teaching, and his name is Jeffrey. So, Jeffrey, his family is from Wisconsin, and he wrote this story in about the Summerwind Mansion, which he actually sent me some information before he wrote in the story saying that I need to look into it, do an episode about it. And after he sent me some things, I agree. I need to know more about this place. I have been looking up YouTube videos. I kind of went down a rabbit hole a little bit. So, planning for eventually covering the Summerwind Mansion. So, this story is going to be Jeffrey's experience. He reached out to me on Facebook and sent me this story. Summerwind has been a family fixture for generations. My grandma on my dad's side used to love visiting. She had said she had connections and just felt the power while there. She would visit frequently before she passed and always brought someone new to experience. Things took a pretty crazy turn in the mid 1980s, and my mom would visit it frequently and take her friends too. One summer night in 1988, my mom was supposed to go with a friend, and she ended up not being able to go. News broke the next morning on June 19th, 1988, that the entire house had burned down, leaving only the stone fireplace, which were multiple stories tall. My mom called up the friend as soon as she had heard, and she was very confused as she was there that night. My mom, of course, was worried that this friend was going to be considered some sort of suspect in this fire. Today, it's still believed that a lightning strike caused the old wood mansion to burn. Fast forward to me being home one summer vacation from college. Bear down, by the way. Bear down, Arizona. My mom and dad said, let's take a drive to Summerwind. It was still frequented by visitors and ghosties who wanted to see some of the most haunted land around. It was definitely a place that told a story. Well, multiple stories. If you know the history, it's deep. It is believed to have been Native American land, which in some locations was sacred burial grounds. Well, one, Robert Lamont, and I even get goosebumps just saying or typing his name, built this mansion. He was the U.S. Commerce Secretary at the time, and it's rumored that he hosted President Hoover in the mansion on the lake. I feel that him building this mansion on this land straight up pissed off whatever spirits were living in the sacred area. Stories are that he would fire his gun at the house at figures in shadows. This was the first of the residents who'd lived in it, and they had experiences that just made them up and leave right away. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say if you're shooting your gun at shadow figures, you should probably just go. Just just go ahead and leave, you know? Probably not a lot of good to come from that, but that's just my speculation. So, of course, in hearing these stories, it sparked my curiosity. I asked my mom about the night her friend went there. The friend had taken tons of pictures. She was spooked after hearing that the house had burned down right after she was there. She brought all the film rolls to my mom and said, I don't want to see these. I feel very uncomfortable around them. So my mom decided she would take them to get developed. To her surprise, when she brought them to the Kmart to get developed, they told her, Ma'am, there's nothing on these film rolls. They had been cycled through, but the negatives are completely blank. When I read that for the first time, you guys, after reading this, I was like, oh man, that is like the epitome of paranormal encounters, right? Like when you go and you take pictures and then there's just nothing there, just nothing. So wild to me. I asked my mom where these were, and she said in the garage in a tumbler. I won't look at the stuff. So I thought, challenge accepted. That night, after returning from Summerwind property, I went and looked and found the dust covered tumbler. I brought it to my room and rifled through it. And there were the rolls of film, the envelope of completely blank photos from that night, along with tons of photos from their previous visits. After looking through it for a good hour, I decided to put them back away and left the tumbler sitting in my bedroom. First night, nothing out of the ordinary. The next morning, I went to take a shower. While I was in the shower, I noticed the top of the window in the bathroom, my valance, was moving. which was weird because we didn't have AC or anything and the window wasn't open. And it wasn't just a gentle movement. I can compare it to someone using their hand and hitting the cloth. Very weird to me, but figured, nah, just something random. Couldn't be anything more. I went back into my bedroom after and sat down and thought about what to do for the day since, hey, I'm a college kid with no responsibilities. Oh, I miss those days. That is when a massive headache took over my body, like skull squeezing, not a fan. I got up and left my room, and before I even got 10 feet out of my room, it had completely disappeared. I immediately went and grabbed the tumbler of the Summerwind stuff, brought it back to the garage, and literally said, F this. I got in my truck and went to my girlfriend's house. I called my parents and said, hey, I'm staying out tonight. I don't feel comfortable staying at home. So that night at my girlfriend's house, things were good. No more occurrences or headaches yet. Fast forward to the nighttime. I was sleeping in my girlfriend's bed. She was on the couch, because that's how we rolled then. I was drifting off to sleep and felt something pull on my hair, just very gentle, and figured maybe a mosquito because we have those pterodactyl sized ones here in Wisconsin. I rolled over, swatted the air just in case it was a bug. I started to fall back asleep and then felt a knock on the top of my head, literally like someone taking their knuckle and knocking on a door, but on my head. I rolled over thinking, what the fuck? And I said, babe, knock it off, thinking it was my girlfriend messing with me because I fell asleep and it was still light out. I hear her respond, what did you say? From out in her living room. I responded, I said, stop messing with me. Well, she was laying on the couch. Nobody else was in the house. Needless to say, something had followed me. That same knocking on my head clicked that it was the same movement happening to the valance in my bathroom at my house. I wasn't sure what to do. I called my mom and asked her what the fuck was going on. She laughed and joked it off, thinking I was joking. I told her I was being dead serious. She joked and said, maybe Lamont followed you back today. And as she said it, I felt like I was going to throw up. Today, I don't know where the Tumblr stuff is. I know it's somewhere in storage, but you won't find me looking for it. To this day, his name is sort of a Voldemort to me. I don't like saying it. I don't even like typing it. I know many people have claimed experiences at Summerwind, but I'm not sure how many have had the experiences follow them around. Oh. Okay, first of all, thank you, Jeffrey, for sending me in your story. I'm obsessed with Summerwind now, and I need to know everything about it. Also, the fact that you said that his name is like Voldemort to you just made me laugh because Harry Potter fan, love that. But I after you sent in this story, I went down the Summerwind rabbit hole, and I was like, wow, this place has a lot of history, a lot of people who've had experiences here. But being able to see pictures of Summerwind that like didn't really develop properly right before it burned down, that gave me such goosebumps. I just need to know more. Like part of me really wants to look at them and then part of me doesn't, Like the curiosity I feel will get the better of me, kind of like it did for you. Cuz you get curious. You're like I want to know. But then you do these things and sometimes energy entities have a way of attaching to things and then following people. So maybe it's best to just not poke the bear and not know it all. But now Summerwind is on my bucket list. Like I have to go. I have to go check it out. Also, your story reminds me of when my husband and I stayed at the Oliver House in Bisbee. And nothing happened to my husband, but something kept poking my forehead in the middle of the night. Just tap, 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 like right in the center of my forehead. And then come to find out, the guy's room that we were staying in, because the Oliver House, if you guys know anything about it in Bisbee, Arizona, it was a boarding house back in the day. And there were a lot of deaths that happened there. It was an old mining town and people would stay there. And, there were like shootouts and stuff that would occur in the boarding house. People get drunk and do dumb shit. But this guy, Nat Anderson, we stayed in his room. He had died there and he was shot in the forehead, right in the center of his head, which is right where I kept feeling the tapping on my forehead. I didn't know this until the next morning when we went to breakfast and downstairs, and the owners, who are super nice people, they were making breakfast for us, And they were like, "Oh, how was your night?" And I was like, "Oh, it was good." But the toilet kept flushing on its own, kept hearing people walk around. I was hearing my name being called. And then at one point, something kept poking my forehead. And I thought it was my husband. Well, boyfriend at the time we were dating. I thought it was my boyfriend. And every time I looked over, he was completely facing the other way. Like he wasn't even facing me and he was dead asleep snoring. So it really freaked me out. And it happened like 3 or 4 times throughout the night. And the owner just looked at me and she was like, "Oh, that's just Nat. You were staying in Nat Anderson's room. He was shot in the forehead. So he was probably trying to tell you how he died. And he's also kind of a ladies' man. He likes to mess with the women who come and stay here." I was like, "Oh, good to know. Thank you so much for telling me after the fact." So thank God she told me that. I really hope it was his finger poking my forehead, nothing else. But yeah, so that was my experience at a haunted location. I've had plenty. And I always feel like, for people who don't believe in the paranormal, if they were to ever experience it the way I have or anyone else has and just not have an explanation, it might lower their skepticism a little bit because once you experience things, there is no going back. Between those things and then what happened to me at the Zach Bagans Museum, I will never ever question anything ever again. I can't explain it. Yeah, it's really hard to tell somebody about experiences that you have had when they maybe have not have had any. Like you do, like in the first story, Sarah from Phoenix, talking about how people give you the look. Yeah, I know the look very well because every time I've ever mentioned like experience to anybody, I get that, oh, you believe in ghosts kind of look. But yeah, I do believe in ghosts. I believe in spirits. If there are gods and there are angels, then there are demons and there are spirits and there are ghosts. Okay? Just how I think of it. Something simply cannot be explained and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not knowing. I love to be nosy and try and find out. I would love to have evidence, irrefutable evidence that I could show people, but I know that people are so skeptical that they would just be like, "Oh, well, that could be this or that could be this." Like, it's really hard for people to believe in things that they don't understand. I get it. That's valid. That's why I don't really argue with people about it. I'm just like, "Oh, yeah, well, this is my experience." That's why we're allowed to have opinions. I can believe what I believe, and you believe what you believe. So you can call me crazy, look at me like I have 7 heads all you want, but I know what I saw. I know what I've experienced, and I can't explain it. I will forever be a believer. There's really nothing that would surprise me at this point. I really feel that if you have never experienced something paranormal, who are you to say that it didn't happen? I've personally gotten signs from, I don't necessarily consider it like a god. I believe that there's a higher power. I don't really know what that means, but I've talked to the universe. I've asked for signs. I've gotten signs. I once asked to see a platypus of all things. Call it confirmation bias, call it whatever you want. But I asked to see a platypus 3 times in order to get confirmation for something that I was waiting on. And I asked for it to be shown to me 3 times within 3 days. I saw it the next day. A student drew me a platypus. And then later on in that day, a student made a platypus out of an eraser. Like drew Perry the platypus from Phineas and Ferb out of their eraser, like drew it on there and then was like carving it, because that's what they like to do when I'm teaching, apparently. And so that was 2. And I was like, no way. Like, of all the things, right? Kids draw me pictures of flowers, they draw me rainbows, they draw me cinnamon roll from whatever that is. I don't know if it's like a Hello Kitty thing. I don't really know. But of all the things, 2 in one day from 2 different students. And then the next day I was scrolling on Instagram, right? Scrolling away, doom scrolling like I should not have been, but I couldn't sleep. Dog videos, paranormal stuff, all the normal things. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, this video of this cute little platypus just diving into a river or something. I don't know what kind of body of water it was, but it caught me by surprise. I was like, whoa, what? I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So that was number 3. Whether it's God or universe or spirit, whatever it is, pretty incredible, right? Pretty cool to experience something like that. So, yeah, I'm very spiritual. I believe that there are things we can't understand, can't see. I respect everybody's opinions because there have been plenty of times where mine has not been, and it's just because it's not your experience doesn't mean it didn't happen, right? So try and be a little more open minded when it comes to stuff like that. Well, now that I've just rambled on about my paranormal experiences and signs from the universe, hopefully you're still with me. If you are, hi, hello, thank you for sticking around. We have one more story. And again, I haven't read these. I've been so busy this week, you guys. The only one I read was Jeffrey's. So this last one, I'm not really sure what to expect. And this is from, can I read your name? Yes. This is from Natalie in Las Vegas. It starts off, hello to everyone and especially to the host, Taylor. My name is Natalie, and yes, you can use it. I can't say enough how much I adore your TikToks and this podcast. Also, I'm loving the blonde. It suits you. Oh, thank you, Natalie. You're so nice. The brown was beautiful too, but that shade of blonde is gorgeous on you. Girl, thank you. Needed that ego boost today. I have always loved true crime and listened to way too many true crime podcasts. I'm not sure if there are meetings for people like me. I've been told that I'm perhaps too invested in the true crime coven. I'm here to tell you right now, Natalie, no, you're not. You're not too invested. And you know what? If you were looking for a meeting for people like us, you found it. This is the meeting. Welcome. Hi, Natalie. Welcome to the coven, Natalie. Natalie goes on to say that may be why I tend to jump to conclusions about little bumps in the night, which bring me to my story. I hope you enjoy. Oh, I'm ready to enjoy. I'm so ready. So, about a year ago, I went out with a guy I met through a mutual friend. He was extremely attractive, not as muscular as Jason Momoa, but similar features and was in good shape. My type for sure. He was not the brightest crayon in the box, but he seemed really sweet and we hit it off right away. I mean, as long as he's nice, right? We went on a few dates, and one night I decided to have him over. Things were going really well. I mean, really well. We had dinner, a couple glasses of wine, and we were finally in that let's stop pretending we're watching Netflix phase of the night. Natalie, I love you. This is such a good story already. So, picture this, we're kissing, clothes are making their way to the floor, and then, just as things are heating up, I hear it thud. At first, I tell myself, okay, probably the wind or maybe the cat, except I don't have a cat. Then there's another noise, a scratch, followed by what sounds like the door handle jiggling. No, Natalie, are you getting robbed while you're trying to get it on with your date? Oh no. Now, let me remind you, I'm mid romance novel over here, and suddenly my fight or flight instinct kicks in like, bitch, you better go check that noise. I leap off the couch completely naked except for one sock and start screaming, don't you dare rob me, I'm busy. Oh, Natalie. Oh, no. My date is sitting there, half undressed, absolutely horrified, like they've suddenly realized they're hooking up with someone who might actually be possessed. Meanwhile, I'm running around the apartment yelling at the quote unquote intruder. You think you can just waltz in here where I'm having my moment? I'm stronger than I look. Spoiler, I'm in fact not stronger than I look. Finally, I muster up the courage to grab the nearest weapon, my shake weight. Stop! A shake weight and yank open the blinds. I'm gripping the shake weight like it's a medieval weapon and start shaking in the air like, come at me. Then I look down and there it is. Oh, sorry, I have tears in my eyes. Then I look down and there it is. The noise, the scratching, the terrifying break in attempt. It was a raccoon on my fire escape eating leftover pizza out of the box that I forgot to bring in. I'm standing there completely naked, holding a shake weight like Thor's hammer, while my date just quietly gathers their clothes and walked out. I swear I could hear his blinking as he just stared at me. I'm picturing this so vividly in my head. I want someone to write a rom-com about this. This is the best. The raccoon didn't even flinch. He just looked me dead in the eye like, bro, finish what you're doing. I'm busy too. I immediately apologized to the raccoon because I'm an animal lover and I felt terrible for yelling at his sweet, chubby face. He hung out there the rest of the night and ate the pizza. I wanted so badly to adopt him, but told myself, Natalie, rabies is a very real thing and you aren't having the best of luck tonight. Oh, Natalie, we would be great friends. You want to adopt raccoons? I also want to bring home stray animals, including raccoons. My friend Kylie actually has a pet raccoon. Pretty cool. And it's adorable. It's so cute, you guys. Anyways, back to the story. Natalie goes on to say, moral of the story, don't bring home the guy who A, won't even attempt to help during a home invasion, and B, can't laugh at the fact that there was no home invasion, just a loud ass raccoon. I'm still single, but I don't think this is the reason. Yeah, I believe you. That can't be the reason. No way. Well, I hope you enjoyed my story, and I hope this makes its way to the true crime coven's ears. Keep doing God's work. You listen to My Favorite Murder, don't you? Do the Lord's mission, God's work. Oh, bless you, Natalie. You are hilarious. You are a gem. Signed, Natalie from Las Vegas. Wow. I'm so glad I read these in the order that I did. That was definitely one to end on. Holy shit. That was so funny. Wow. Also, yeah, fuck that guy. And the fact that that guy couldn't even be bothered to help you. Like, come on. Maybe he was just sitting there like clearly she's got this. Like no help needed. Oh man. Well, this batch was a good one. I have a lot more that I haven't gotten to read yet. I'm trying to pace them out as best as I can, but if you guys have any other stories that you would like to send me, send them in. I want to read them for you. These are so fun. I love these. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have for you today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Go follow the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I love all of you. Thank you for listening with me today. This has been such a joy. This has definitely been needed. Oh my gosh, we all needed this. I needed a laugh. Go make good choices, be good humans. And if you guys have any other stories you want me to cover, go ahead and send those in to me. Go buy some merch on the website. Go check it out, suspectsandspirits.com. We have shirts, we got hats, we got stickers. Go buy some stuff. And as always, remember to trust your lizard brain. Until next time, goodbye.